a party going down tonight in Hollywood. Did you get your invitation? Don't feel bad if you didn't. I wasn't invited either. Unfortunately, I didn't seem to make the guest list. Now, in all fairness to the Academy Awards, they did kind of extend the invitation, but it came with strings attached. If I wanted to go to the party tonight, if I wanted to rub cucumbers with the Hollywood elite, I had to apologize for my white privilege. Obviously, I declined. This epic party tonight in Hollywood, it is being hosted by none other than Jim Kimmel, not to be confused with the other Jim Fallon, who currently hosts the late night dump on NBC, where he is preparing himself for unemployment if his ratings don't improve. Tonight is going to be the fourth time that Jim Kimmel has hosted the Academy Awards. Now, I am sure you were asking yourself the same question that I asked myself when I heard about this. Why? What the hell's going on here? I thought this was an award show that was all about honoring success. Why would a show like this be hosted by a huge embarrassing failure? For years now, there's been this ongoing debate about late night television. Ratings have steadily declined since the retirement of Letterman and Leno. Well, KC, it's that damn cord cutting. During the days of Letterman and Leno, they didn't have to compete with those damn scissors. It's definitely not the cord cutting. These late night shows, they are airing on broadcast television, free TV. Put some aluminum foil around the Star Trek Virgin Mike Freeman's battery-powered lightsaber, and you can watch this trio of embarrassing failures in late night television free of charge. No cable or satellite subscription required. Now, others have blamed the ratings decline in late night TV on the supposed antiquated format. They claim all the good guests are appearing on podcast and YouTube, where interviews are longer, they're more in-depth. Potential guests are choosing to appear on podcast and YouTube because the platform is larger. Whatever they are promoting will reach more people, which is true. That is definitely true, but why has podcasting, why has YouTube become a larger platform than late night TV? I don't hear Greg Gutfeld complaining about the format of late night television. For the last couple of years, Greg Gutfeld, he has been the king of late night. Now, of course, you are not going to hear that from the mainstream media. No! They are not allowed to crown Greg Gutfeld king. He's not a member of Woke United Methodist. Greg doesn't spank the wanker while looking at profiles on Grindr featuring bearded men in thong bikinis. According to the mainstream media, Jim Kimmel is the king of late night. I have been telling you guys for years now that the problem in late night television, it ain't the format. The problem in late night is the host. If you don't believe me, look at the recent ratings for Jon Stewart on Comedy Central, and it proves my point. I know some of you guys in my audience, you guys don't like Jon Stewart. Jon Stew is a liberal, there's no doubt about it. There are many areas where I'm in total disagreement with Johnny Stew, but there's a huge difference between Jon Stewart and Jim Kimmel. There's a huge difference between Jon Stewart and Shan Squires. Casey, who in the hell is Shan Squires? You've never heard of Shan Squires before? He's the guy on NBC that hosts the dump that comes on right after Jim Fallon. At night, he pretends to be a late-night comedian. During the day, he is the lead attorney at Myers & Squires. Are you unemployed while belonging to a marginalized group? Are your parents refusing to get you the gender-affirming care that you need? If so, give us a call at Myers & Squires. Sean will fight for your right to be a former man in tights. The difference between Jon Stewart and these other failures in late night, number one, Jon Stewart, he's actually funny. He can be relatable. Number two, Jon Stewart isn't afraid to attack both sides. A couple of weeks ago, he was being destroyed by his pretend friends in the mainstream media because he had the audacity to make jokes about John Biden. Late night jokes about our fearless leader, John Biden, that is no bueno. Been about a month now since Jon Stewart returned to The Daily Show. Since his return, Comedy Central, they have been averaging over 1 million viewers. Now, you have to remember, over the past few years, this show has been called The Daily Show a failure. When this show was hosted by Travis Noah, ratings were being counted by the dozens. Jon Stewart has them back to being counted by the millions. His return has also boosted the ratings during the rest of the week. Now, Johnny, he works the Rachel Maddow schedule, shows up on Monday, works for a couple of hours, then he's off for the rest of the week watching oiled up men in Speedos fake wrestling each other in WWE. Jon Stew, big WWE fan. Before his return, though, The Daily Show, they were lucky to reach 300,000. Back in December, some dude named Charlamagne the Todd, he was hosting the show. What the hell were his parents thinking, by the way? Who gives their child the as their middle name? Anyway, the week hosted by the dude named The averaged 297,000 viewers. So the return of Jon Stewart, it has definitely had a positive impact on the ratings at Comedy Central. But it's also proven my point that the problem in late night is not the format, it's the host. Since 2018, ad revenue has rapidly declined in late night television. Back in 2018, The Tonight Show generated $340 million in ad revenue. The Tonight Show alone. Last year, all 5 shows between ABC, CBS, NBC, they generated $360 million combined. Long term, that is not sustainable. Hell, short term, that's not sustainable. Late night television is incredibly expensive to produce. Each show has between 1 and 200 people working on the staff. Typically, 2 guests appear on the show. Sometimes there's a musical guest. Those people have to be flown in, and they are not accepting the accommodations given to WNBA dump divers. These guests, they are not working as flight attendants just so they can fly from New York City to Los Angeles or vice versa. At minimum, they're expecting first-class accommodations. They're staying in 5-star hotels. Then, you gotta pay the host, or in this case of the trio of huge embarrassing failures, you have to overpay the host. Jim Kimmel is making $15 million a year. $15 million, and he's one of the least watched shows on ABC. Shark Tank, 3.1 million viewers. Good Morning America, which I believe is still hosted by Greg Katsopoulos, or whatever the fuck his name is. Think he's related to Uncle Jesse from Full House. Greg, he averages close to 3 million viewers on Good Morning America. World News Tonight, 7.8 million. All these shows are cheaper to produce than Jim Kimmel, who averages about 1.5 million. A while back, there was a study conducted, and I can't remember off the top of my head who did this research. I've talked about it here on the channel before, and I've given them the proper credit. But anyway, they analyzed the thousands and thousands of jokes that are told on late night TV every year. The overwhelming majority of these jokes, something like 80%, they are made about conservatives. And which late night host was the biggest offender? Jim Kimmel. As I was preparing this video this afternoon, I got to wondering why. Now, don't get me wrong. Steph Colbert on CBS, he is a proud deacon at Woke United Methodist. Shan Squires, a grade A shitfuck. But the one host who seems to have the most disdain towards normal people, Jim Kimmel. Why? If you're my age or older, you probably remember Jim Kimmel on The Man Show. You probably remember the early years of his late night show on ABC. Believe it or not, Jim wasn't always a doofus. He wasn't always a regular consumer of the grilled wiener. So what happened? What changed? I think it's a combination of 2 things. One, the election of Donald Trump in 2016. Orange Man bad! Once the Trumper was elected, it seemed like the mainstream media was working in collusion with each other. Remember the illusion of Russian collusion? The media was working together to destroy the Orange Man. Jim Kimmel, he was diagnosed with a severe case of OMB. Now, for those that don't know, OMB, that is an acronym for the incurable disease of Orange Man bad. Symptoms include convulsions, incoherent ranting, and in the case of Jim Kimmel, the lost ability to be even remotely entertaining. Number 2, 4 years ago, Jim Kimmel, he was accused of mythical racism. Back in 2020, old clips resurfaced of Jim Kimmel making fun of Karl Malone. He painted his face black. Hell, I think he might have painted his entire body black trying to mock Karl Malone. Now, even though this clip was from the mid to late 90s, Jim Kimmel was forced to issue an apology. Ever since he was accused of racism, the side effects of OMB have rapidly increased, while his ratings have rapidly decreased. Think about it. Who does Jim Kimmel work for? ABC. Who owns ABC? Disney. What network does Disney also own? ESPN. Over the last 4 years, which network has been responsible for calling out white privilege and racism more than any other network? The worldwide leader in woke, ESPN. Maybe Jim Kimmel was forced to change. Now, in a recent interview, Jim Kimmel called the change growth. Maybe this so-called growth was forced upon him. I don't know. What I do know, being constrained by the standards at Woke United Methodist, it has destroyed the industry of late night television. There have been rumors for a little while now that the broadcast networks, they are looking to get out of the business of late night. James Corden, he was fired last year, never replaced after his show was losing, I think, $20 million a year. TBS, they got out of late night altogether. They fired Sam B after her milkshake failed to bring the boys to the yard. Jim Fallon has completely tanked The Tonight Show. Jay Leno, he was averaging 3-4 million viewers. Jim Fallon, he's got that number down to a cool 1.3 million. So it's understandable why the broadcast networks would be thinking about getting out of the business. But again, the problem isn't the format. There is a simple solution to fixing the problems in late night TV. Hire relatable hosts. Hire hosts who are actually funny. And more importantly, allow them to be funny. Greg Gutfeld has proven it. The return of Jon Stewart has proven it. There is still an audience for late night television. There's just not a big audience for this trio of huge embarrassing failures who are currently hosting. But give me your thoughts on this. Jon Stewart averaging over 1 million viewers on Comedy Central, cable TV, while Jim Kimmel is averaging 1.5 million on free TV. Does this prove my theory right? Are the hosts in late night the actual problem? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.